Hello guys, here's a new video about the 28 to 105mm zoom lens I have here. No, it's not the L lens. This is an old Canon EF lens with no IS. Came out in 1992. They did revise the lens sometime after that, but basically it was kept the same name. There was no Mark II or anything like that. Basically there's no IS, it's autofocus and manual only. Does have like manual override, so you can control the focusing. What's my general opinion of this lens? I would say it's quite a soft lens, if I'm honest with you. It is a good range, 28 to 105mm. Obviously I've tested this on crop sensor and full frame. It does seem that this lens has a common problem, however, that when you go to F3.5-4.5 on digital cameras, that is, you get the dreaded 01 error message, which can be an issue. You can work around this by using manual focus, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a bit hit and miss, basically. Basically it suggests you clean the contacts. Basically it's the gold plated contacts on the rear of the lens there. Yes, you could send this to Canon to see if they can do some sort of firmware update, but it's a very old lens. It's unlikely they'd be able to do anything for you. In terms of range, 28 to 105 is a pretty decent range. Obviously it's not as good as the Canon 24 to 105 f4 lens. The aperture on this reads 3.5 to 4.5, which isn't bad really for an older lens. Its minimum focus is half a meter, or 1.6 feet for you guys in America. It has USM motor. It's quite quick and responsive, and it's not a bad lens. For the money, you know, because you can pick these up on eBay and Amazon for around £100. I did try the actual zoom range to see if the error message did come up at all. It does seem to be something that comes up in the latter part of the zooming action, 70 to 105 generally. I didn't experience the dreaded 01 error when it was at 28 or 50mm. So it could be this copy, possibly. However, I've heard stories of people having a similar problem on digital cameras. I used to have a Canon 5D original that was film based. Never experienced problems with that camera or this lens attached to it. So I would certainly recommend this if you guys have got a film camera, definitely, because it's quite a handy lens to have. However, the image quality does feel quite soft to me in comparison to other lenses. Even the kit lens, the 18 to 55 that you get on crop sensor cameras such as the 600D, is a sharp lens in comparison to this. So let's move to some images I have on the computer, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss the results in more detail. Hello everyone, and welcome to another examples video. Obviously we've been looking at the 28 to 105 Canon 3.5 to 4.5 lens. Just wanted to show you some examples. Here is at 28mm. Let's just have a look at the information of the photograph. 50th of a second there, so 1600, so there's going to be a bit of noise here. Let's zoom in to 100%. Now looking at 100%, I see very little clarity here, so it isn't fantastic if you're wanting to get sharp images. Let's just move across to see the clock at the far edge. It's not very clear at all. In fact, I'd say that's pretty terrible. I don't think there's much camera shake in this. because it is 28mm, generally your focal length should be equal, at least equal to, if you haven't got image stabilization, that is, to your focal length. And the shutter speed is quite a bit higher than the focal length here. Look at the next image, if we just zoom out a little bit. This is at 50mm. It seems to operate a little bit better at 50mm. So it's not a bad lens at 50mm. And you can clearly see the clock is already a bit sharper. We just zoom in there. That's 100%. You can see the clock. You can actually make it out quite a lot better. And as for the statue itself, it's not too bad. So I'll look at the next image. 70mm. Now it's possible there's a bit of camera shake here because obviously we're increasing the focal length. And it's 40th of a second at 70mm. Let's just look at that smelly thing there. At 100%. I don't know, maybe it's a bit of camera shaking there, I'm not 100% sure. But it's not that brilliant in terms of quality. You make your minds up, guys, but I don't think it's a fantastic lens. Okay, let's have a look at the next one, which should be 70mm. No, this is 105mm, sorry. I think there's going to be a bit of camera shaking there. Let's just double check that information. So we're at 25th of a second at F3.5 ISO 1600. Obviously it's indoors and at night time, so there's probably a bit of camera shake at the 105mm. But that gives you an idea on what 105mm looks like. It's on a 7D, so there will be a crop factor of 1.6. Keep that in mind, please. And then let's have a look at another image that's actually outside. So this was at an event I went to, where a bit of jousting was going off. We're basically at 28mm, f8, ISO 160. I think I was using auto ISO here at 50th of a second at 28mm. If I'm looking at this image, it's horrible. Basically, there's hardly anything that's actually in focus. Now, keep in mind and bear in mind, this is ISO 160. So it should be really sharp in terms of hardly any noise. You know, it's 28mm. Obviously, there's a 1.6 crop on that. But it's f8, you know, so it should be performing really well. But if I'm looking at this target thing here, it's not sharp. The only thing that seems to be in focus is the separator for the actual barrier where the jousting happens. But for you guys, you know, let's zoom in a little bit at 100% and have a look around the image. So 100%, when we start zooming in, we start to see how poor this lens is, because what appeared to be fairly sharp is that isn't sharp at all. You know, you can clearly see it's not sharp. Let's move down to the separators here. That's designed to keep the horse in line. I can't see it's in any sort of clarity or sharpness there at all. Plus side is there's not a lot of chromatic aberration in there. However, it's not very clear to me in terms of sharpness. In fact, there's very little sharpness. I would have expected these bows to be a little bit sharper. I certainly would have expected the target here That's like a practice target where they slash it with a sword. It's not sharp at all, or even remotely, in terms of depth of field in focus. And then we're looking at the foreground here, in terms of the actual guide rail for the horses. There's no sharpness there. I don't know what you guys think. The corners look really bad. Just looking around the image to see if there's anything that is good about it. In terms of colours, I think it does a fairly good job in representing what the colours are. You know, red, yellow, green. Depth of field wise, in terms of what's actually sharp in the image, I would say it's quite poor, to be honest with you guys. So make up your own mind. Tell me what you think. But for me, I think this lens is lacking in sharpness in a lot of areas. So, you know, thank you for your time and have a nice day.